grew up in Sydney, so if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to ask me. I'll do my best to answer them for you. So on with the tour. We'll start by explaining everything which we can see around us here, and then we'll head sort of across the city towards Hyde Park, and then we'll head down through the city and end up around with everything that everyone comes to see. About 200 years ago, we would have been standing on the edge of the township of Sydney, as it was known at the time. In fact, we would have been standing in a particularly vile, disgusting smelling place. We would have been standing in the cemetery. There were thousands of bodies buried in this area in very, very shallow graves. So they were basically rotting just beneath the surface. So as the city started to grow up and around the cemetery, people complained more and more about the smell of all these rotting bodies. So the council at the time thought, well, we should probably do something about this. So they dug up all the bodies and they took them out to a cemetery further to the west. That allowed them to build the Sydney Town Hall, which you can see there today. So they started it in about 1869, just after they dug up all the bodies, and it took them about 20 years to complete. These days it has a few council functions and that sort of thing, but mainly it's a big performance hall, and that in actual fact, it's completely out of action for the rest of the year because they're doing renovations and whatever on it. Whenever they do renovations though, they tend to find the odd body or two. They didn't do a great job at digging them all up 150 years ago. So in actual fact, probably the most important part of Town Hall for Sydney-siders is actually the balustrade and steps in front. It's a really popular meeting place for Sydney-siders, so if you happen to be meeting someone here in Sydney, they may all say Town Hall Steps, so that's where it is. So then, on the other side of us there, we can see what's known as St Andrew's Cathedral. It's actually our oldest cathedral here in Sydney. Admittedly, it was only completed in about 1874, so it's not really all that old, but it's the oldest we've got. What you might notice though, is that the big towers that are meant to sort of draw you in and turn you to God are hidden behind the trees and against the high-rise buildings behind. Originally, there used to be a little street at the other end, but as George Street, which you can see behind you there, sort of grew and prospered, the street at the other end disappeared, and basically the whole cathedral's facing the wrong way round, and there's not really much we can do about it these days. So as I mentioned there behind you, George Street is the main thoroughfare through Sydney. Goes all the way from Central Station all the way down to Circular Quay and the Rocks. And it was actually our first street here in Sydney and the main trade route from the docks up into the colony.